All right, so we're going to be setting up power equations that sound like powerful. Basically, they're just the equations that we've done before. And they have a starting value first, and then they have some number in here that's usually like 1 plus the rate or 1 minus the rate if it's a rate of decay. And then it has to have an x in the exponent to be exponential. Okay? So here is a typical problem. House prices have been going down lately. Have you guys heard about that? All right, so the value of houses in the last 3 years, this is pretty typical. $250,000 house is down to like a $205,000 house. It's very painful as a homeowner. It's gone down like $45,000. I mean, that's a lot of money. I mean, for some people, it's like how much they've earned. Like their entire salary is gone now in the value of their house. Hopefully, they've bottomed out and they're going to start coming back up again, but you never know. Well, we can write an equation for this and figure out how we can, like work with these numbers. So if I have y equals, and starting is 250, and then a 1, and is this going down? So it's minus. And then a rate, I don't know the rate, they didn't tell me. And then the number of years is 3 years. There only is one number that I haven't put in here yet, the 205,000. And there's only two choices. It can go where the r is, and that's not the rate. That doesn't make any sense. So you have to put the 205 right there. And it makes sense. When you multiply this all out, it'll tell you how much the value has gone down to. So that's where this should go, 205,000. Now, how do I solve something like this? First step, divide by 250,000 on both sides. And then this will cancel. And then how do I get this 1/3 off of here? That's the most commonly misunderstood thing. Yes? Put it to the 1/3. Very good. And I do that to both sides. Put it to the 1/3. When you're putting that in the calculator, putting it to the 1/3, put a little parentheses around the 1/3. Because otherwise, when you say, calculator, I want you to put this to the 1/3, it's going to go like this. It has some number in here. Let's say 2.73. To the power of 1 divided by 3. It's going to do the power first. And it's going to take the whole thing and divide it by 3. See what I mean? So if you say instead to put it to the parentheses 1/3, it'll keep the 1/3 part together like you want. Okay, so don't forget the parentheses. All right, and then the last thing is to get rid of the 1. And then how do I get the negative off the r? You bring it to the other side, or you could think of it as multiplying both sides by -1 works too. All right. I'd like you to actually try one now. Would you please set up the same kind of thing for number 2 on your iPad? And if you guys are catching on to this quick, as evidenced by doing well on these problems, we'll just get to the homework fast. So you get a lot of time to work today. Okay, so give this one a shot. First, set up the equation. Yep, problem number 2. I already solved number 1, except for the actual grinding out the numbers. That's the easy part. Trying number 2. Always start with a y equals thing and then just swap in the numbers that you need. Okay. You should have started with y equals, and then you'd pretty quickly realize that you're going to put something over the top of the y. But y equals the $1.87 to start, and then you have a rate that's increasing, 1 plus r, and then it's been 10 years, so you put the 10 there. And I don't know the r, so I'll leave that as an r. This y, I realize, is the 389. Then you divide both sides by 1.87. That cancels. This comes out to 2 point something. I can't remember what. 2.08. Thank you. 1 plus r to the 10th. And how do you get rid of to the 10th? You put it to the what? 1/10. Very good. And then that cancels that. And now I've got some decimal. Can somebody help me with that? 0.76. Thank you. Equals 1 plus r. And in this case, we just subtract off the 1. And you got 0.076 equals r. And if you were to actually answer the person in like a normal words, you'd say the average price has gone up about 7.6%. Or if you wanted to be more normal yet, you'd probably round it to 8%. It's gone up about 8% a year for 10 years, which is kind of impressive, actually. 8% per year for 10 years is a lot. Usually prices only increase like 3% a year. That's more normal. So inflation is kind of normal in an economy. In fact, they say it's way better to have inflation than deflation. Kind of weird. Deflation, you'd think it's good in that it makes the price of things go down, but it really hurts businesses and stuff a lot, so it ends up hurting the economy way worse if there's deflation. But there's some countries like Venezuela has had 20% inflation every year. 20%. That does generally mean the economy kind of is rocking, but it gets a little scary for consumers because then like you don't really know what things are going to cost. Like, you know, you think you're going to pay about $5 for a gallon of milk. You go to the store, it's all of a sudden it's like $7 for a gallon of milk. It just goes keeps going up, and it's hard to like get used to prices. In this country, we've had pretty flat inflation for a long time, but a lot of people are afraid we're going to have inflation go really fast because of the Fed has been doing this stuff, which basically means that it's like putting money into our economy, and that usually causes inflation, but it hasn't yet. So some people are predicting that we're going to have that kind of massive inflation in the United States. So we'll find out if they're right or not. There's a lot of kinds of predictions of gloom and doom, and most of them don't come true. So. All right, let's go to a different one. She's 22 years old and wants to invest $1,000. Ooh, sounds like a starting amount. Write an equation for this one. Hoping to retire at age 65 with $1 million. Apparently, she wants to just put in this $1,000 once and have it turn into $1 million. That'd be nice, but you're going to have a really high rate of return. So try to figure out for her what rate she would need. I'd always start like this. And then put in the rest of the stuff we know. We can put something here and we can put something there. I was reading more about the moose. They're doing a study right now because of the moose population in Minnesota going down so much. It went down 35% in 1 year. And they're doing a study right now of 111 moose in Minnesota. They're tracking them. They did the whole like shoot them with the tranquilizer gun and then put tracking things on them and then send them back out. Sad part was that 4 of the 111 moose died within 2 weeks of being tagged. And most of them had been eaten by wolves. So it is looking like maybe the wolves are a big deal when it comes to why the moose population is going down so much. But they're still a little confused because it's not just like healthy animals that are getting eaten by the wolves, it's more of the sick ones usually. And so they don't know if the moose are getting sick and therefore the wolves are eating them, and therefore it's not really the wolf's fault, it's the fact that the animals are getting sick. So one of them had pneumonia, which was interesting. Didn't know moose could get pneumonia. All right. So this goes to the, she has, how many years? Like 43 years? That's one thing she's got going for her. She's got a long time before she wants to retire. And then, the amount she wants, though, is a lot. She wants $1 million. And that's why, when it's all said and done, you divide by 1,000, and that 1,000 cancels off 3 of the zeros. And then you got 1,000 equals 1 plus r to the 43. Now you got to put it to the 143rd power. When it's all said and done, you come up with, I think, 17%. Is that correct? Right. It wouldn't be that complicated to get more money in retirement. If she started with 1,000 the 1 year, and the next year she had another 1,000, and she started that little nest egg growing, and the next year she put in another 1,000 and let that little separate nest egg grow. Eventually, they would grow to be worth a lot, and it would be the million without having to have this ridiculous 17%. Because unless you get lucky and you pick like Apple stock back when it was $20 a share and now it's 450. All right. So if there was no interest, okay, no interest makes it, yeah, that's a lot of money to put in. 23,000 a year is like your whole salary. But the good part is that you know how to do that. That's cool. You can take the math on it and figure it out, not without too much difficulty. Yes, sir. That's not it. It's 1,000 to the power of 1/43. Do you get the difference there? All right. That's the problem. Okay. That pretty much does it. I think you get how to do these. They're not that hard. You got a bunch of these for practice, for your homework. So I'm going to give you a bunch of time to work on it. We have tough days. We have easy days. This is one of the easy ones. Let me get the video done.